You are listening to the Alpha BassCast with Jake Boomer, Bryant Smith, and Beau Fletcher.
Welcome back to the Alpha BassCast. Thanks for watching. And of course, we've got Beau and Bryant, the mainstays, until they both either one kick me out or we kick them out, or however that works. But tonight we got a cool guest.
Sweet. 2 versus 1.
2-1.
2-1. You're out of here.
We were talking before we went on live. We were talking about how anglers sign up for tournaments and how there's this crazy tournament organizers hate us because we wait till the last minute. And then what they hate the most is guys going, "How many boats have signed up? How many boats have signed up?" Like, how many times have you heard a tournament angler go, "Like, really?"
Like it's going to change
question.
your mind or something. You just go sign up the fish. Doesn't matter how many boats.
But you could see both sides of the story, right? Like signing up later or towards the end of the sign up, in case something were to happen. Bass anglers worry about that. And then I think probably with some of the things that happened in the past, they're worried about if they're going to get their money back, which has only really ever happened maybe one time. So they wait to the last minute, or for whatever reason, or if they can't go, or if they didn't catch anything in the first day of practice, or that kind of stuff. But on the flip side, tournament organizers hate it, because they don't know if they're going to have enough resources, stuff like that. It's this battle between the two sides.
Well, I think...
I bring that... Oh, go ahead.
I think tournament guys would enjoy, or tournament organizers would enjoy closing that purse up and putting that aside and getting things ready, right?
No, I get it both sides. I get both sides of it. Sometimes I don't know if I'm going to be able to travel to them unless, especially if it's like an open or a pro-am kind of thing. Like, you don't know if you're going to go. You don't absolutely have to go. You know what I mean? So you wait a little bit longer. But for the first time...
Dude, try that in Bassmaster. Try that in a Bassmaster Open. I remember the first time I tried to sign up for the Bassmaster Opens. I didn't have the lifetime membership, so I had to sign up a day later, and they were already full. Like, this is crazy. So you have to be on the computer refreshing your tab at 9 a.m. Or no, it's 6 a.m. for about 5 minutes before it starts. And then usually you got to go through a few page crashes before you can actually get to the page to fill out all your information and sign up. It's wild.
It sounds like when I was trying to buy concert tickets in high school.
Yeah.
With a broken dial-up internet.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
Do you think the Opens will be like that this year?
Yep. 100%.
Especially with the new changes?
I was going to ask,
changes.
Is taking out the co-anglers going to make it more desirable?
I don't know if that changes a lot of guys' minds. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that one, but the format change as far as 4 tournaments in 2 regions, I think it's a lot more attainable for a lot of guys. It takes a special kind of person to be able to fish, and there's no hiding it. The Bassmaster Opens do not pay very well. So it takes a very special person in a very special situation to actually be able to afford to travel, fish 9 tournaments for not a lot of money in hopes to qualify for the Elite Series. So now that they've changed it to 4, I think 4 is a lot more attainable for a lot of guys. So I think they're going to fill up quicker than ever.
You used to be able to use a co-angler as your pair as a way to push your way up the line.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm traveling with so-and-so, and that would get you in above the guys that didn't pair with a co-angler if they didn't fill up the co-angler's field.
Yeah, they had a Facebook group of Bassmaster Open linking with co-anglers. And I've been on it, begging, somebody please sign up with me. It's so crazy.
I know that Mark has more sign-ups, pre-signs for this first Pro-Am that he's ever had. Obviously, he's only been doing it for a year. But
if you really want to, in January.
If you want to send an old veteran through the roof, ask him how many boats are signed up.
You know what's funny is he's probably asked that question before to tournament directors, and now everybody's asking him that.
Yeah.
He's asked that question.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I wonder if he's regretted his decision, because we had it made before. You know what I mean? Like other tournament directors that were just tournament directors, they knew what to expect, but he was a tournament angler and he kind of had it made. He had all the time in the world, and then he crossed the tracks. I wonder if we should have him on here and ask him if that's a regret, but not for the
God
first
bless him.
tournament.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
you better pick a good time to ask that question.
Yeah.
He may use this platform to try to sell the damn thing.
I'm
Yeah.
done dealing with these idiots. I'm
Yeah.
over it.
We'll be on here talking about 25 boat shootouts or you know what I mean? Because we ruined the tournament director. Yeah.
We broke him
That was
hard.
your turkey shoot in Washington today.
Yeah.
That's good. It was good. We got a 12-boat fruit jar. Wasn't bad. Yeah, but everything's looking good for Shasta for sure.
No, I hope it levels out. It came up 30 feet since you and I were there.
And it's actually, I got a text from a buddy today. It dropped, I think, a foot today because they just, it's all, I don't know about where you guys are at, but it's been nothing but sun and even up here. And so they've lost a little water already.
Yeah, some of that's the leveling effect too, though. Like
That's what I would assume.
it swells up as it fills and then as it levels out. But they might let some water out too with how high they are, with how much rain. How much rain season is left? They're probably pretty high, right?
Rain season hasn't even started in California, and we've already gotten this much. So they're going to be letting water out for sure, because not only do they have to make room for the water in that lake, but they have to make room for the snowpack. And I live where I can see a lot of the snowpack, on the Sierras over by Tahoe and everything. And it is white over there. So
It's strong.
we got a lot of water so far. So they're probably going to have to play a little bit of a juggling act for the next couple months, depending on how much rain we get during our real rainy season. But shouldn't affect the fishing much. Fishing is incredible. 25 pounds to win the fills last weekend. I think it was over 13, almost 14 to get a check. So
It's insane.
boys better be catching them.
Yeah. Look at that. We got Nick Wood. Welcome,
Boom.
Nick Wood, to the Alpha BassCast.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we were just talking about the lake that has probably started making you more famous than Bryant, I hope.
No, I'm not that famous. I ain't gonna. Yeah, it's definitely my favorite place to go fishing for sure.
Yeah. How far
Yeah,
away
I
do
know
you
a
live
lot of
there
guys.
from there?
Yeah, it's. I overheard you guys talking when I hadn't popped on, and as kind of in regards to the water levels and stuff, and it's definitely coming up. There's no doubt about that.
How far away do you live from Shasta? You're not like right on the lake, are you?
No. I'm about an hour and a half north of Shasta.
Wow.
I'm up in the Wairika area.
I was going to say, you must be close to Wairika.
Yep. I'm 10 minutes from Wairika. I have a construction company out of the Wairika area.
Awesome.
So,
That's some
yep.
really pretty highland country.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're kind of in the shadow of Shasta, the mountain. So it's kind of high desert, but all those storms come out of the south. They kind of wring out all the water, and then we're in that kind of desert, high desert kind of ground. But
Do you ever have a tough time getting back from these winter tournaments? Like if they close down 5, or can you go a different way?
yeah. But yeah,
Oh, you do?
no, there's no way of going around it. Pretty much the interstate's the only way to get up the freeway. And yeah, luckily that my team partner Justin lives in Redding, so there's lots of times I got to stay down there just because the interstate gets closed down and stuff. So they're pretty good about letting us, because at Fawndale, right before Bridge Bay, that's typically where they have they'll shut the traffic down. But if there's tournaments and stuff, they'll typically let all the tournament boats through because they know they're just going to Bridge Bay. So. And Casey Harris is one of the head guys for Caltrans, so it makes it nice. So he's calling the shots most of the time. So
He knows what's going on up there.
yeah. He'll let the tournament anglers through first thing in the morning. So if we do have a tournament, don't be alarmed that they're going to shut the freeway down. They'll still let you through at least to Bridge Bay.
We need to talk to him and see if they can let everybody but you through there, so we can
That's right.
actually have a shot at this tournament.
Well, I don't know about that.
Casey Harris is your old co-angler, isn't he? Or is that
No,
different
he was
Casey?
just a friend.
Oh,
a different Casey. Yeah, no, he's just a friend of mine. Yeah, he fishes kind of a local. He I don't know what year it was, but a few years back he won an FLW on Shasta. So yeah, kind of he's a one of the local guys that fish a lot there on Shasta. Big swim bait thrower.
oh, the Swimbait.
But we'll get into
Yeah.
that later. We'll get into that later. We got some questions about that. But how is Shasta right now?
Well, if I overheard you guys talking last weekend, the weights were like springtime weights.
Yeah.
25 pounds to win it, 21 for second. I mean, it is 15. As far as the big females are starting to show up, which is a little bit strange for Shasta right now. This is, we've had a lot of weather this year. This is more, typically we don't have this much rain and the water levels coming up like it is right now. That's more into February through March. That's when the lake starts to rise rapidly. Well, we had that happen in the last month, and those fish just went, the big females are starting to stage, they're pulling up. So the last probably 3 weeks, I've been seeing guys catching those big largemouth, and that typically doesn't happen this time of the year. It's, you're seeing that, into February, 1st of March, when you need to have a largemouth to win, or a couple largemouth to win, and now guys are catching them, and they're consistently catching them. So, which really scares me, because what's gonna happen, I think, like these pro-ams coming up, it's going to be when Alex Neopis won. He goes out and he has a huge day, and he's able to ride that weight through the rest of the tournament. You can't recover from a guy going out and catching 30 pounds. That's just too much weight to try to recover from, as far as, when you're going out and you're catching 15 pounds a day and guy goes and catches 30 on one day. That's a tough one it's a big hill to climb in a tournament situation.
It's almost insurmountable after the first day if somebody weighs 30. How often do guys weigh 30 pounds on that lake?
Not very often. I've only seen it a few times. I've had over 30 there twice, and Alex, I've seen him, and lots of mid-20s. I've seen that quite a few times. Not very often you see 30, but even a high 20-pound weight is going to be a tough one to come, in a tournament situation to dig yourself out of that, to beat that.
For sure.
So, but that's what I'm seeing when, with the water coming up. It might change a little bit, because we do have a lot of weather stable weather coming in. It might settle things down a little bit. But it's warm weather, so I don't know if it's going to push them fish off. So it's going to be a little bit. I'll be down there every chance I trying to figure it out. I know, I just don't know what in the areas where they're at, how these guys are, got an idea where they're at, but I'm not sure if, and I fished in that area and I couldn't get bit. So I better figure it out.
You weren't using Bryant's Swimbait tricks then, I guess.
Hey. What's that?
You weren't probably using Bryant's Swimbait tricks. Probably.
Well, I don't know his tricks. I'd love to hear them, but I don't. Whatever I was doing wasn't the right thing.
Yeah, maybe we need to give you some context here.
Yeah, I told him about the video.
Okay, good.
I forgot to send it to him.
Yeah. Anything I say about swim baits, you just ignore it, and you will be better off for it.
I think the swim baits are probably going to be a pretty big player this year, like they always are. They're always on Shasta, they're always a player in any event. But I think this year, what I'm seeing now is it's going to be guys are going to need to probably have some sort of confidence in that bait, or willing to throw it a little bit.
If there's a guy, I'm not going to name names, who is fishing Shasta, and maybe he's never caught a swim bait fish on Shasta, give me like the general stuff. I don't need any of your secrets or anything like that, but give me some general stuff on how to do it.
So typically in late spring, there's lots of things, seasonal times that I like. I'm not saying that I'm some, I got it dialed in, but I have confidence in what I like to target. If you're going to be there in the middle of the winter, and it's a slower, not a wide open swim bait bite. Things that I would target would be more the bluffy kind of banks. You can get up tight to the banks and you could fish, swim bait. Try to target that 15 to 16 foot of water, up tight against a bluffy bank. As the spring and things start to warm up, what I like to transition to is I like to start, the big long tapering flat points. Those are the things that, like, if I was to give somebody, a little bit of information to try to put them in an area to help them out swim bait fishing without completely just hand feeding them all the information that I have. I
We'll
would
save that for
probably
later
tell.
once we're not recording.
Yeah, there you go. We're sitting around the dock there drinking a beer.
There we go.
I would probably tell, I would advise guys to probably, venture towards those long tapering points, areas that those fish later in the spring that, they're pre-spawn, they're wanting to go in and spawn. And, and those bigger fish for me that I target are typically less than 10 feet of water. I'm not at that point. I'm trying to target fish in shallower water. You're not getting a lot of bites. And that's the thing that people really struggle with on swim baits at Shasta that I've talked to. Again, I'm no guru, but this is my experience. Is the swim bait fishing is not really a super complicated thing. It's just it's kind of like, like Bryant, when you and I were talking about live scoping and stuff. It's something that you got to commit to and stick to it. And you got to be willing to, catch a handful of fish. But if you're able to get the bites or able to get them in the boat, you typically they're going to be that better quality fish. They're going to be a 3+ pound fish or 12-pound fish. You're gonna get those quality bites, but it's, you're gambling and it's in a tournament situation. It's 1 day events, the fill. Those are the days that you go out and you can push the swim bait. You try to fish the one bass where it's 3 days. When you go out there and you throw that swim bait, and you guys all probably could vouch for me, you're in a big tournament and you think you got some secret spot that no one knows about, and you get there and there's 3 boats sitting on it, and your start spot's got a boat on it, and your second start spot's got a boat on it. You end up, strapping your whole game plan because everything that you thought you were going to get doesn't happen. So it's really hard to make a swim bait bite sustainable in a big event. It's real hard. That's my opinion. I don't. I throw it into big tournaments, and I do catch some fish in big tournaments, but I don't try to push it. I've done it, and I've learned from my mistakes, and I've really dug myself into holes because I'm trying to push that.
Yeah. No,
that
that's
deal.
perfect. I think that's good.
Yeah, and that's in a 3 or a 4 day event. 1 day fills tournament, and you're into it a couple $100.
Swing away.
Go ahead and throw it all day, and either you go like last weekend. I had 10 pounds. You don't get the bites, or you can't get on the areas that you need to be. So Shasta is just it's definitely dominated by swim baits, though. I mean, guys, the swim bait is typically a pretty big player on that lake, especially right now.
Great. The only person I had teaching me swim baits never caught one on a swim bait there. So, you know what I think?
Sounds like an idiot.
Yeah. The funny thing about that place is, it's like back home, like you're talking about, that first day is a really big day, and like back home we have that too on multiple day tournaments. When you float over those fish, the first day is the day you need to strike. Like, how often in those multiple day tournaments is there a Mondo bag brought in the last day or second day without a major weather change? Generally, like, that stuff gets hit and pillaged, and and you can ride it to the end. But going out the third day going, I'm going to get 25 or 30 pounds on this here swim bait, is probably a lost cause by the time we floated over them. And
it's definitely harder unless you got if you're doing something special. the year that Alex in the office had that really big bag, that was the second day of the event. But he was fishing in an area that wasn't getting a lot of, pressure, and it wasn't so, guys weren't. He really brought a lot of light to swimbait fishing was a very popular thing at Shasta, but when Alex did what he did when he won the Wild West, really changed things for Shasta. Guys really, guys are throwing the same baits and they're able to catch those same fish that he was able to catch. So it really changed the dynamics for the swimbait fishing, So to go back to answer your question, what you're talking about is it's going to be a lot harder to go out there. And if someone goes out and cracks a big bag the first day to catch them, I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be really tough. Because if you're on that bite, you would have been doing it the first day. So,
yeah. How has swimbait fishing changed on that lake over the years? Because I've heard the stories where it's just, I went out and caught 30 fish on a swimbait today, whatever it was, double spoon, the Bryant Smith, like ospreys, all that stuff. How has that changed over the years? Because I know they've gotten smart to it.
Oh, that's it, dramatically. 15 years ago, you could go out and you could get tons of bites. Like if you went out and got 20, 30 bites, caught lots of fish, was pretty consistent. Now it's if you can, there's going to be days that you do get that many bites because the conditions just are perfect. You got a storm's coming in out of the south and it's warm, or you got a really warm, windy day, you can get some multiple bites, but there's so many people throwing swim baits, and there's so many guys there's a lot of guys that are doing it right, but there's a lot of guys that don't do it the way I think is right. That's my opinion, the way I would fish it. And I feel like those fish are getting, really hammers with, the baits kind of presented to them. And, and I think there's just a negative, these fish are like, I've seen this, but it's just not presented to where those fish will bite it.
Totally.
They've become scholars. They could tell you exactly what weight, size bait. Oh, that's a bait at 9-inch coming at me. I'm not eating that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it gets a little bit to where those fish, I feel like that they're getting conditioned to it, because, you go to a tournament there and 90% of the guys have got a swim bait tied on and they're throwing it around, and a lot of them do well. I don't want to sit here and say that they're
for show.
It's the decoy.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of guys there that do throw them around, and that, I just haven't got confidence or know what, how to approach it. And then there's a lot of guys that have figured it out now, that have put the work in, and they're having some success with it for sure.
It's funny to me that we brought you on and we wanted to talk to you about, being a pro and BAM pro and all this stuff. And I wanted to talk about like a bunch of other stuff, but the mystique of Shasta and how fun and how much it is. And we're like already hammering you with questions about fishing the lake. By the way, everybody, this is Nick Wood, who won more money on Shasta than anybody in the last 5 years. But anyways, how do you catch swimbait? I apologize.
That's okay.
We have other questions besides just picking your brain, but
shoot, whatever. I enjoy talking. I get a lot of questions on Shasta, so I enjoy visiting with people about it. So
I'd like to hear about kind of your path into tournament fishing. We stumbled on an article about how you used to be into bull riding, and I'm really curious. Like, it looks like you had a pretty successful career doing that as well, or a passion career.
Sure.
But I'd love to hear, how does a bull rider start bass fishing competitively and become so successful?
So, kind of the short story. So when I was growing up into high school, my brother and myself really enjoyed kind of the rodeo culture. That we had a friend that high school rodeoed, and that kind of got us into the rodeo, kind of opened the doors for us to start rodeoing. And my brother and I we couldn't afford to buy really nice horses to team rope or anything like that. And we never really had a passion for roping. We liked the rough stuff. We liked to, the bull riding and the bareback riding, the saddle bronc riding. So that kind of our passion through high school kind of evolved. After high school is when I started. Started going to pro rodeos. In the PRCA, you have to buy your permit. It's kind of like your rookie. It's not your rookie year, but it's kind of to build your status to be able to go to compete professionally. And so I bought my permit, and then my brother bought his permit, and a friend of mine that we travel with, Shane Gordon, he bought his permit. And then so that year we all filled our permit. You have to win a certain amount of money to be able to fill your permit, and then you could start entering the bigger events to start rodeoing. So I think I was 19 when I bought my permit, and I think I filled my permit when I was 19. And I rode bulls for 10 years. My kind of the pinnacle of rodeo is making the NFR. It's kind of like going to the Bassmaster Classic. That was my goal, was to try to make the NFR, which I never made. But that was but that's a young man's sport. So I had a lot of broken bones. I had a lot of injuries. My brother, he halfway through his career, he was hurt real bad at Reno. And then shortly thereafter, he went to Fort Worth, got hurt real bad there. He had his spleen taken out. And so he quit riding bulls. So I was traveling with my friend Shane. Same thing. He got really hurt. He broke his jaw twice, broke his neck, had his spleen taken out, broke his leg. So he was just kind of littered with injuries too. But his career went a little bit longer than mine. So I didn't have any major, like losing a spleen or anything like that. Lots of concussions, things that go along with riding bulls. So after
concussions.
Just the minor stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's a rough sport, and you get banged up pretty bad, and it was cool as a young man that my wife Heather and I got together when she graduated from Cal Poly, and then when her and I got more serious and wanted to kind of settle down and start a family, before we got married, I was like, I just can't do this. I can't continue sacrificing. If I was to get hurt, I can't make sure that I'm able to keep, the lights on if I'm hurt, because I want to be a bull rider. So, and I was getting to the end of my career and I was getting a little burned out on it, but I really enjoyed the traveling. I enjoyed it. It really, fishing really reminds me of bull riding as far as the friendship that you get. You have a group of guys that you travel with, and those guys, when you're traveling across the country, are kind of, other than your family, or your backbone. Like if you need something, those guys are there. If something was to happen, you can fall on your group of 3 or 4 guys that you travel with. And that's the way it was with rodeo. It was that really close, tight group of guys that you travel with. But when you get to the rodeo, same thing, first thing in the morning before a tournament, you get everyone's excited and they're talking, and and then at the end of the tournament, you guys that did good are hooping and hollering, guys that didn't do good are kicking sand. And same thing with rodeo. It just, so there's a lot of similarities to what I really enjoyed about rodeo and the competition. And I always said, if I can find something I could do that I can be competitive, but in the outdoors, which I love to hunt and fish and all that stuff. So in tournament fishing just was like the perfect thing that I really enjoyed. That was so similar to riding bulls. And then when I do stuff, I really get focused on it. I just go probably over and above what I should, but I just really want to do a good job at whatever I do. And then, so I started, my uncle, he tournament fished, and he was like, well, yeah, we could go fish the Snag Proof Open on the Delta. I'm like, yeah, I never fished tournament before, ever. I'm like, yeah, my friend was telling me about it. I think that'd be awesome. So we go down to fish and we win it. And I'm like, no way.
That's the kiss of death too.
Yeah,
you can't win your first one.
And that was that's a frog only tournament, right?
Yeah. That is a hard tournament to win. I've tried many times.
Yeah.
Me and Casey Harris won that one year too. I won that thing twice, and it
way.
It's.
I'd put that above your one bass win. I'd put that above everything. That is I've wanted one of those for so long. That is so
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I had no idea.
Yep. So I won that tournament. I'm like, this is easy. So it just kind of just fueled the fire of me wanting to go fishing and stuff. So I just started trying to learn as much as I could, and then it just kind of evolved into me wanting to fish more tournaments, and I just put so much effort into it to try to get better at it and learn. And Shasta, of course, is the closest lake that I have, so I've learned Shasta, more than any other place because it's closer for me. So that's kind of what started. That's what got my career from bull riding to where I am today with tournament fishing. In a short version, I guess.
Later in life, right? So like you were in your mid-20s, late 20s when you started?
Yeah, I think I started, I'm 46, I think, 45, 46 years old. And I started in 05. I think that was the year I won the first year I won the Stag Proof was in 05. Yep. That's when I kind of got going in tournament fishing.
What was your first boat?
What was my first boat? I had a 16-foot aluminum bass tracker, I think. That if there was like an inch of chop, it would just rattle your teeth out of your head.
You were used to that. You used
I
to
was going
riding
to say, it
bulls.
probably felt like
Yeah.
bull riding.
It was very
So
similar.
soothing.
Multiple concussions.
Yep. Yeah. Then I got a range. I've never ran any other boat other than a Ranger. I've always ran Rangers. I had an older Ranger, and then I started buying newer Rangers, and then now I just run Rangers. I've still been ran Ranger. I've never had any other brand of boats and stuff. So, but yeah, the old bass tracker. He was a beaut.
How much money did you win last year? I mean, I know you won money on the BAM Pro Tour, but just on Shasta alone, didn't you have some enormous?
Yeah, I want to say, that 1 week with those open tournaments in the one bass, I won, I think, 83,000, and then yeah, I think probably, I don't know, I probably won. I don't have it exactly. I would guess on Shasta last year probably 125,000 ish. Somewhere in that ballpark.
Good year.
Just a couple bucks.
That's the way to get it started.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about Shasta, though. It's that everybody starts there, and it always attracts a big tournament. Even years ago, it always had an FLW. You always have a good big tournament. You're going to have a big turnout and a big payout there. And being close to it it's good to learn. It's like if we had bigger tournaments in the Columbia River, you know what I mean? And they're coming, but it's still 3-4 hours away. But at least it would be like this epicenter of like what you have epicenter of winter and early spring bass, and where you have big tournaments. I'm envious.
Well, Shasta definitely, because people really enjoy coming here and fishing. The fishing's always really good. You feel like you have a chance at doing well. And yeah, it's the kickoff of the tournament seasons. And you always fill the field with, your 150 to 170 boats, is not unusual at Shasta, where you go to other places and, you're starting to see that 40, 50, 60 boat fields, and guys are a little bit burned out, I think, at the end of the season, and they're fisheries that are not as, Shasta, you pull up to anywhere and catch fish. I think that keeps guys a little bit more.
That's the best
optimistic
part about it. You break your cabin fever. Everybody's got cabin fever. Everybody wants to go just catch as many fish as they can, and Shasta's the place to do it. It's such a beautiful lake, great tournament lake, a lot of strategy involved in it too. It's kind of that perfect kickoff that we have in California.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's the facilities are nice. It's an easy place to run a tournament out of. It's just, it definitely gets a lot of anglers to show up for sure, which is cool. I enjoy fishing against the, big fields and stuff. So
you enjoy taking big fields money.
I didn't enjoy last year because I felt like the whole field where I was fishing last year was there, but I got a little frustrated last year. But it was okay. You got through it.
Worked out.
Success, that's what we say. Success breeds success, no matter how you get it.
Yep.
Right. You drive by and everybody's like, oh, hey, there goes.
There's Nick Wood.
Yeah.
Let me drop a waypoint right here.
Wood.
You need to start either using a different boat in practice or just fishing some really crappy water and just to throw everybody off.
Yeah. I thought about changing a boat midway through the one bass, but I think the word was out where I was at, so it didn't really matter at that point.
Oh,
I don't know how they
those guys
found
weren't
you in that
faulting
zip.
me.
Yeah. I might pull my wrap off temporarily this year. So go a little cognito.
Just for a few weeks. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
So I got a question about Shasta. So just a few numbers. When you won Wild West, the Wild West Pro-Am, you won it with 36 pounds. When you won the one bass, you won it with 47 pounds. And you can see it in the weights over the past probably 10 years, how they've just been steadily trending up on that lake. What do you think has caused the weights to get so big there?
Well, I think in the last few years, I have seen the weights getting a lot bigger. I think high water, I really feel like that's really helping the fish. I think that's really helping the largemouth too. I think that warmer winters, the shad's not going deep so fast. This year there was a ton of shad up shallow. Last year there was a lot of shad. The shad are starting to go deeper. But the year that I won the Wild West, the area that I was fishing there was a wall of shad. There was so much shad in the area. When I would catch a fish, they were puking up. This would have been the second day, I think, is when this happened. First or second day. I think it was the second day. There was literally, they were so actively feeding on shad. They were puking up shad that were still alive. Like it was just, there was shad everywhere. And it wasn't the little small shad that you typically see in the fall where they're an inch and just little tiny shad. They were 2.5 inch shad and they were floating around everywhere. Like you would catch a fish and he's puking up shad, and these shad still aren't dead. They're still flickering on the surface from where they got puked up out of the back of the mouth. Like they were just gorging on it. So, and I've seen that over the last few years and I kind of chalk it up to warmer weather, higher water type scenario. We're not seeing those really, really cold years. Well, like the water temperature right now at Shasta is like 51 degrees, where it's usually in the like 48 to 49. It's a lot warmer. And that also could be a lot of the reason why these big largemouth are starting to show up too. But going back to why the bass, I feel like the temperatures aren't getting warmer. I don't feel like the shad are going away as fast, and these fish are able to gorge on the shad longer, maybe, and higher water. And it's just healthy. Like there's just a ton of bait in there. There's trout, there's shad, there's crawdads, these fish are just, it's such a healthy reservoir that, it's back 5 years ago. If you caught a 2-pounder, you were like, man, this is, those are the fish I'm after.
Yeah. 10 pounds, you're in the top 10.
Yeah. You're crying the blues if you have 12 pounds anymore. You're like, this is not, you got to be scratching on 14, 15 pounds to even have somewhat of a decent showing. And that's consistently in the last 2 or 3 years. It's a waste of just, and I guess going back to answer your question, I feel, in my opinion, there's a lot more shad. I'm seeing a lot more shad. I'm seeing warmer temperatures, longer, warmer temperatures. That's what I chalk it up to. Better, we're at higher waters. The fish are able to spawn. We're getting, like the largemouth are having a great, like the Phil's tournament too. The one that we talked at the marina.
Yep.
I think that day it was like 50-50 on largemouth versus spotted bass. Like, yeah, they weren't huge, but they were probably 1.75 pound largemouth. I mean, they're going to survive. They're big enough to where they're not going to get ate by other fish. And so we're, in the next couple of years, we're going to see a huge population of largemouth in Shasta come back. There's just too many of them that I've never seen before. So, which is exciting. I think that's really,
cool.
which is really going to change the dynamics. I mean, I think it could turn into a Berryessa where you better have 30 pounds. It's a largemouth come, get, populated like I feel like they're going to.
Yeah, that is
So,
interesting.
or Maloney's or any of those where you got a higher concentration of largemouth. So that's what my opinion is. I mean, I'm no biologist, so I don't know, but that's what I see happening. I
Makes
just see
sense
more.
to me.
I just see more food. I see, for the fish and higher waters, and
they're going to get
warmer
bigger if they
temperatures.
got more to eat.
Yep, absolutely.
That math works for me.
Yep. So, but yeah, in a tournament situation, yeah, you better be where you shooting for 10 or 12 pounds. You better be shooting for 14, 15 pounds now when you go in when you're fishing tournaments there, practicing for pro-ams and stuff.
I got one more question and then I'll hand it off to these guys. What's the winning weight? And this is, just throw a number. What's the winning weight for the pro side at the BAM Pro-Am coming up?
I'm thinking you're going to be 40. I think it's going to be probably in that 45 to 46 pounds is what I'm thinking.
Wow.
I think guys going to go out.
How it was when you won one bass last year.
Yeah. The only cookie snatcher that might be is a guy going out there and whacking some of them big ones with a big swim bait, like what happened last weekend. That could really change things up. But traditionally, you get 2 or 3 days of guys practicing on the water. Those areas are getting beat up. Those fish become a little bit tougher to catch. I think it's possible, but it's hard to I think some guys will get a key fish, you might get one big one, but
lake
that's my prediction.
So much with that many boats on the water.
Yeah, the pressure really, really hurts those fish. Those big fish just get so they get really in a negative mood. When you got guys, you got practice, guys fishing over top of them all day long and stuff. So that I think is going to hurt them. I mean, I've fished pro-ams long enough there that trying and having stellar practices, like write me the check, I'm ready to go, and then, can't get bit. So
you could see that progression in like we have it up here with the smallmouth, the clear water, especially really clear water lakes, that the more you float over them, I mean, if you're on a shallow pattern, you better have some water that look like pus that nobody practiced on, because you can't, it just, as the days progress, the biggest ones live shallow in a lot of places like that, but they just see so many boats and it just gets really tough. So
yeah, you got to get real finessey with those fish. Those fish, if you can get them located, then you just got to, Bryant, you're really good at catching those fish, that are pissed off. You can talk them into it.
Yeah. As long as I fish, you got to be pretty good with the spinning reel, unfortunately. You can't always swing the big stick around.
Yep. I've gotten away from trying to power fish like I used to. I definitely have transitioned more to I got them, I feel like I can locate them, but now I just got to be able to figure out how to catch them. And the only success that I've had is with, throwing a swim bait in front of their face 50,000 times. I haven't had much luck with that. Once they're pressured and they're beat up. So.
Is Shasta your favorite lake?
I don't know if it's my favorite. I mean, I really enjoy going there because it's I've had some success, so I feel comfortable there and I know what I feel like I needed to be doing. But probably my favorite place, just because I really enjoy, and I'm not any good at it, but I really like doing it, is going to the Delta. I really enjoy the flipping and frogging and stuff. I like there's a lot of things that you can do there. I'm just not very good at it, but I do enjoy going down to the Delta and that's probably one of my favorite places. And the other place that I really, really enjoy going to is the Columbia River. The Columbia River is probably, I would say, one of my top 3 places because I like it's kind of like Shasta to me as far as the ability to be able to catch fish. You know, they're not the right fish, but I can always consistently catch fish. You know, going to the Columbia, I understand guys coming to Shasta. You know, they go to Shasta, they know they can catch fish, they enjoy it. The Columbia is like my Shasta. I know I can go there and I can enjoy it and I catch fish. I'm probably not going to win anything, but I enjoy going there because I can catch fish. You know, it's just a big, vast, you know, there's lots of things that you can do there. Clear Lake is probably my least favorite place to fish because I can't stand how the etiquette there. Guys just pulling up and just
You just
the
gotta
etiquette on
gotta tell them you used to ride bulls, and then they won't mess with you anymore.
That would fix it.
You know how many concussions
Yeah.
I've had? You better get off this spot.
yeah. One Swimbait to the head, I'm knocked out again.
Kind of change gears a little bit. You're fishing Super 60, right?
I am, yes. Yep.
Yeah. What's
Yep.
what's the one lake on there you got circled on the schedule?
Probably Don Pedro. That's the place that I'm really looking forward to. That's
Do
the
you have
one
a lot
that's
of
kind of been on my.
experience there?
Yeah, I fished there quite a bit. I
Okay.
think I fished probably 10 pro-ams. Don Pedro and Maloney's fish to me similar. I top 10 at Maloney's. It just fits. I understand spotted bass and their behavior, and it really kind of fits my style of fishing. So that's the one that I feel like I can go to and hopefully, you know, use my strengths, you know, fish there. That's the one that I've really been, the one that I don't know. All of them I really am looking forward to. I've been to Mojave. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't done that great there, but Bryant promised me that he was going to show me exactly what to do there. So no, I'm looking forward to Mojave, and that's going to be a fun place to fish. The Columbia River, of course, the Columbia River is another one that's just that. All of them, you know, I'm just looking forward to all of them. They're all in good locations. They're you know, but if I had to pick one that I would say that is my favorite, I would say the Don Pedro tournament's one I'm probably looking forward to the most. Springtime, it should be a pretty good bite.
I agree.
I was talking to Randy Pearson a little bit about it, and he actually said he was pretty bummed that we were going there that time of year because everyone's going to catch them, and he wanted to go when not everyone was going to catch them because he can.
Yeah. Well, Randy,
Yeah.
Randy's the guy that you would want to, you know, him and Ish are going to be a force to be reckoned with there. That's their body of water. They're going to be.
Yeah,
Tough
but
to
even
beat
he
there.
said the playing field's going to be very level that time of year. So
Yeah. They should. I mean, what experience I've got there, they should be biting pretty good.
Yeah, cool.
You brought up something earlier, which is a correlation to the Columbia River and Shasta, and it's these lakes that you catch a lot of fish. People love them because you catch a lot of fish, but there's something about going to Lake Shasta and catching a lot of fish that the non-locals struggle. Because I feel like when guys are practicing and trying to figure something out, getting bites is sometimes enough, but you're not getting good enough bites. Kind of like when like you said, the Columbia River, you go catch a bunch of fish, but it's really hard to. There's probably some line you've got to figure out to start catching the better class of fish. Shasta's that way too. We can show up down there and catch 100 of them and pay 8.5 pounds. There is a defining line that sometimes is hard to find when you're always getting bites. It's hard when you're getting so many bites to say those aren't good bites. You know what I mean? Especially in a practice scenario. There's
Sure.
See the correlation between those two places, these high population places, but they're still hard to. There's always some kind of information, something clicks in your head where you quit catching just the baseline fish and catch those ones that get you a check. You know what I mean? I could talk about it with like the Columbia River, but I don't know if it's really clicked in my head of Shasta.
Well, I don't know about the Columbia River. I guess the way you're out, how to transition into kind of getting into more quality versus quantity. I would, for me, there's a lot of things, knowing the lake, and kind of, traditionally knowing where the better quality of fish are. Like if you get into an area that you've done well in and you're catching, those same 1.5 pound, 2 pound fish, for me, just speaking for myself, I know these areas will hold better fish. And that just, I think, is a lot of local knowledge. Just knowing if I stay in this area, I know that I might catch 10 fish in an hour, but I'm going to get that 1 3-pounder or whatever, or that high 2-pound fish, every hour. And by the end of the day, I'll have that 15-pound bag. Or you transition to, going to, reaction for spotted bass, for the most part, is where you're going to probably traditionally get your quality. You can, and unless you know that you've got a big group of big fish on an area or a point or whatever, and you're willing to sit there and try to catch them. Like I don't know, it's been years ago, but I had like 24 or 25 pounds at Shasta. I never picked up a swimbait rod. I caught them all on a Cinco, but I found them in practice. The water was super clear, and I was free fishing with a swimbait, and they won't fall. I just seen them. And so I went back there the next day, and it took me all day, and I caught 7 fish, but I had 25 pounds. So just knowing that the fish are there and settling down. So it's kind of going a long way around to answer your question, but it's a little bit of knowing the areas, holding quality, and you're willing to stick with that area, and trying to transition into a bait that you're going to get those bites. Where there's a couple of ways you can do it. You got to know that you're in an area, or feel confident you're in an area on Shasta that there's quality there, or you're going to transition to a bait. My strategy is, if I'm struggling and I just don't know where, the upper pit isn't producing like I thought it could, and I have to scrap everything, I'm going to go out and I'm going to go throw an A-rig or Swimbait and just run around and try to get those bigger bites. If I know that, a certain spot's holding quality, but I'm still not getting them on a Swimbait, I'll settle down and I'll just stay in that area. But that kind of comes with local knowledge, and probably with you guys on the Columbia River, the areas that are probably going to be holding the bigger fish. And you're willing to stick to those areas and settle down in those areas. If you're struggling, you're going to, okay, my best job's going to be staying in this area and try to catch a bigger fish, the best bag I can. That's my strategy on Shasta.
Yeah.
So.
It's always some piece of information, especially with California, but it's like year one school by size, something that kind of breaks you free from it. At the Columbia River, it's, you can kind of tell by where they're setting up what size you're going to catch. Like, are they way out in front? Are they up high? You know what I mean? But, I remember getting chewed out by Hickey last year for not weighing my fish in practice. You know what I mean? Are you catching them good? Yeah, I'm catching, like, they look like 2-pounders. He's like, have you weighed one? I'm like, yeah, they're close. They're probably like 171s, right? Like,
yeah.
That's why I weighed such
Are you talking about at Shasta?
Yeah. I'm like weighing them, picking them up and being like, all right, that looks like a 2-pounder, throwing it back, thinking you're on them, and it's 1.65 pounds. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's hard. That's a kind of a hard thing to get away from, to going through the numbers and stuff. If I find myself in an area where I'm getting those 1.5 pound, 2-pounders just consistently, and I fish for 2 hours and I just leave it. Like I try to locate some better quality fish, and there's times that you'll pull into a pocket and that one little pocket's got the 2.5, 3-pounders in it. I've had that happen, a lot of times. The bait's in there or whatever, and you stumble onto a spot that's got quality, kind of a needle in a haystack situation. I like to be a little bit more strategic in my game plans versus hoping to find that one little pocket. But I have had that happen, but I can't, to get away from the small fish, I would say would be go shallow and throw reaction. Would be my tip. Yep. The bigger fish, definitely. I think, Brian, you would agree with that. The bigger fish, typically I feel like are shallow for me.
Totally.
That's
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. Yeah, I don't think I've caught a spotted bass over 5 pounds in less than 20 foot of water, or more than 20
yeah,
foot of water. You know,
yeah, yeah,
that's where the trout are. I think that's what they try to eat as much as they can. You know, they
yep,
have the transition in their life when they get big enough, and you see when you're just driving down the lake, you'll just see this trout jumping like 6 or 7 times like a dolphin. I'm like, he's getting chased. He's getting
yep,
chased. There's no doubt.
yep,
So yeah, I think they're going to stay where those trout are. And if there's trout are shallow. So yeah, definitely the bigger ones. I truly believe they stay shallow.
yep. And right now at Shasta, they're planning a lot of trout. They're doing like weekly. They're doing they're
Wow.
dumping trout into the lake. So
Wow.
that could be another reason why these fish are getting so aggressive. There's just a
Mhm.
lot of, swimbait sized trout, those 8 to 10 inch long trout. So, and they're everywhere. Like you drive down,
They
like you're
are.
talking about,
They are
focusing
everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah. So there's a
They
lot of
are
trout.
everywhere. Yeah, I'm excited to get up there. That is, like I've said to everybody, asks, "What's your favorite lake?" You know, especially going back east. What's your favorite lake? You love the Delta and Clear Lake. No, it's actually Shasta. That is my favorite place out here because it's more specifically Shasta in the winter for some reason. I think it's the coolest place. It's the best backdrop. You know, the mountains, the snow, all that good stuff. You're gonna catch
Yep.
100.
Yep.
Yeah, I always get excited to go to Shasta every winter.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's a really, I was talking to Cody Meyer. He's actually going to come up and fish the one bass. He's staying with us. And he said that he just wants to come up because same thing with you. Like he's been all over the country and that's the one place he just wants to come and have fun. And it's just a lot of fun to fish. It's pretty, especially right now. It's the lake's full. So there's eagles everywhere. The mountain's covered in snow and yeah, it doesn't typically get super rough. You're not having to deal with, rough water. You do got to deal with some rain, but
A little
Some.
bit.
Some
Just a little.
yeah,
understatement of the year, some rain.
Just a little.
yeah. Last year I fished and it rained so much. I got back to my house one day and I parked my boat in the garage and I got a window in my garage and I went out there and my boat had been sitting for, I don't know, a week or two. And I went out there and I had grass growing in my carpet because it was so wet. The whole edge of my carpet, right on, I could see they're about an inch long. All these little grass or something was sprouting all over it. I'm like, oh my God.
Only at Shasta, well watered.
Oh my God. Yeah. You don't ever dry out. Like it's just everything. You're so wet all winter long. You get your gear dried out and it's just like you go back out and you're wet again. Yeah.
How it works. It's what
Yep.
you sign up for.
Yep.
What we're all signed up for.
Yep. Yep. Well, when it's raining, that's when the light's good. So
Absolutely. Rain and snow. Isn't that right, Jake?
Rain and snow. We just released the video of Bryant and I for the tournament. We were there with you, Nick, and the rain was annoying. I think we annoyed each other more than that, but not much. It was, I would recommend watching it if you want to see comedy. It's like the Two Stooges, but so you have a construction company, so you're not, when you leave to go do all these tournaments, you don't have to ask for permission from and the reason I preface this is just to learn more about Nick, but we had Conrad on last night and his story was way different than the rest of it. It was a good, not last night, 3-4 nights ago, but anyways. But so you own a construction company, you're like Hickey, right? Hickey's got his own. Okay.
Yep.
So you should have a group of guys that you're like, hey, see ya, I'm gone to go to another tournament, 3-5 day drive.
So I got a lead carpenter that when I leave, he's able to run the crew. Like through the fall, I do a lot of hunting and I go to, my family's got an outfitting business in Idaho for elk hunting. So I go up there and help guide and hunt through September and October. And then by that point, the fishing starting to get kicked off and they do pretty good. There's times when I need to get back and kind of get things kind of lined out and I'm kind of going through those struggles. right now, just because it's been gone, a little bit longer than the guys, they get a little bit lax and stuff. So, but I have a crew of guys, employees that will run everything. And I try to make sure when I leave, everything's pretty much lined out. They know what they need to do. My subcontractors are lined out. So I try to get everything, but there's a lot of calls on the water, making sure that things are getting taken care of and stuff. So it's
balancing act.
Yeah. It's definitely, just because I'm gone doesn't mean I'm not having to deal with the struggles
I don't feel that bad for you, because probably what you're going through right now is that you just got back from Hawaii, right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, because I called you on the phone to see if you wanted to jump on the podcast, and you're like, I'm just walking down the beach. I called you 2 bad names. I don't even know you that well, but I know I called you a couple bad names. Almost hung up on you.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a miracle that you actually joined us.
It was a rough trip. I mean, I sweated really bad, and I didn't dare take my shirt off, but I did let my white legs see some sun. So yeah, that
must have been a change coming back to Shasta from Hawaii.
Yeah. We stepped off the plane in Medford, and I was like, "Oh my God, what have I done?" It was 45 degrees, and I just left 85-degree weather, and
you're in shorts and
it was
palm tree t-shirt.
Yeah. Yep. Drinking Mai Tais.
Yeah.
No, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Good trip. Good family trip. So my son's found he was metal detected, and he found his first gold ring. So it was fun for him.
But you think it was like a wedding ring some woman threw away and like, done with you?
No, it was a man's ring. So
something else happened.
Yeah.
What island were you at?
The big one where Pearl Harbor is. Was that Honolulu?
Oh, okay.
Is that Honolulu or whatever? I can't remember. We went and visited Pearl Harbor. That was very, very interesting. If anybody's ever in Hawaii, that is definitely something that was, for me anyway, I was really intrigued by it. A lot of history there. That was really interesting.
Pretty wild.
So,
yeah.
It was fun. Yep.
Did you know there's bass in Kauai? Yeah. As a matter of fact, there is. Yeah.
Really?
I have a buddy who went there, and it was Jamie McEldown. He's the marketing director for Discount Tackle, and he somehow found on Facebook that there was like a high school bass fishing team, and he reached out to this kid, and this kid and his dad took them out bass fishing for a day. In Hawaii. Okay. Yeah. And they went down and caught
Maddie Wong.
Yeah, Maddie. That's how Maddie totally knows how to fish.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Come on, Jay.
Thanks, Bryant.
Yeah. Thanks, Bryant. Brian, if you start tomorrow, you could probably get your boat there. I mean, you'll have plenty of fuel. Hey, what's Black Bear Diner? Tell me about that, because that's, I mean, if we're going to poach you all year long, it's the Black Bear Diner boat.
Well, I'm changing, actually, this year I'm changing sponsors. So Black Bear, I won't have Black Bear on my boat this year, but they're just a local, well, they're not a local, they're a West Coast restaurant. They're all over California, Oregon. Yep. It's a good rest. They started out locally here from what I understand, and then they've expanded, and Bruce Dean is the owner of I don't know how they transition. I think there's multiple people that own it now, but I believe he owns the ones here in Northern California, the way I understand it. But he's been a really good, really nice guy, big supporter of bass fishing, Simpson College, and myself. So it's just a local restaurant, food chain, or that's on the West Coast.
Yeah, it's a good non-endemic. You know what I mean? It's hard for, especially in our economy right now, getting sponsors that aren't somewhat tied to the sport. Getting outside of it is a real trick.
It is. Yep. No, I was very fortunate for 3 years. They were very generous, and maybe someday down the road we'll do something else. But this year I won't have them on my boat. So
gotcha.
He's just trying to figure out what wrap to follow around Shasta. That's what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think my wrap's coming off next week.
Are you going
Oh,
to pay
boy.
one of your kids to do that?
What's that?
Are you going to pay one of your kids to do that? Have you ever had to take a
Well, I
wrap
was gonna
off by
get
yourself?
a group of guys, and I was gonna just get a bunch of heat guns and start pulling it off. So
You'll
too
rub
cold
your
right now to
fingers
try to do
raw.
it without. Oh, I know your fingernails. You feel like your
Oh.
fingernails are peeling off your hands because you're pulling on that thing, and yeah, it gets a little rough.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, you need to. You have 3 kids, don't you?
my
Yeah,
daughter,
you
she's
need to
12, and my
get one of them
son's is 10.
Yeah, one of them gets in trouble, and that's their grounding. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not
Yep.
saying set them up to get grounded, but just in case they got a little attitude issue, you know.
yeah.
Little fear mongering.
Yeah.
I'll just put on a beer dispensing helmet and just go to work on it and stay out there in the garage.
You won't even feel your fingers by the end of the night.
No.
Yeah, and that way I can protect myself from a concussion. So
There you
Get the helmet, the chin strap.
Oh,
A couple
that's awesome.
a couple of years ago, many years ago, before Brandon got his shop, I didn't have a wrap boat, but he needed a warmer garage to take one of his wraps off, and he couldn't get his hand between the bunk and the boat, so he somehow conned my daughters into helping because their arms were small enough, and now he
yeah,
can't
there you
even,
go.
he's not. Hey, do you think the girls would help me? No, the girls are like, no, I'll never do that again. You didn't pay me enough. Yeah, not happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's an all-day project, that's for sure. And then you got to clean it and get all the little sticky glue or whatever that's on there and try to get that wiped down. That's a process.
How often do you roll your boats over?
About every 2 to 3 years, I'm actually talking to. I'm wanting to get rid of this boat and get into a new one, but I've kind of been talking a little bit to Camus, so I don't know what I'm going to do for sure. I'm kind of up in the air. Honestly, my fear is having to get rid of the boat that I got right now. Is selling a used boat. It's not the greatest market, so
Mm-mm.
that's
So
kind of.
ask Bryant.
Tell
How
me,
many
Yeah,
boats
no, I
do you
know.
own right now, Bryant?
4. Anybody want to buy one?
Are you
Yeah,
kidding?
I remember you telling me
Just
that.
start a dealership.
Like
I
literally
I
4?
pretty much could. Yeah, we got 2 Rangers for sale right now, and then I've got my 2 Skeeters, my tour boat, and then my West Coast boat. So, yeah, this is a perfect plug. If anybody wants a Z520R, you let me know.
Yeah, I got one for sale too. So
Mine's been for sale longer. You got to go with mine first.
the one bass, the boat that I won at the one bass, that took a while. I thought I would sell that a lot faster than I did. Not the last boat I sold, but the boat before that, it sold really easily, and this is going to be easy. And man, it was a struggle on that boat, and I can only imagine these higher end boats. They're probably a lot harder to sell. So
Yeah.
well,
Interest rates have really made people picky,
Mhm.
for sure.
yeah.
But I did hear that it's starting to pick up already. Like we're starting to move them for our dealership as the phone's starting to ring. So hopefully it kind of turns itself around for the sake of the industry, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's a good sign. Springtime also is another good, good time for things to pick my deal here. It will be things should start moving, and hopefully interest rates get a little better. So we'll see. Time will tell.
cool. So we've got an hour. Man, we've got a lot longer than we thought we would. We appreciate everything all this wisdom that we tried to pry out of you.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
are fishing the Band Pro Tour next year,
I am. Yep.
for sure.
My plan is to fish the BAM Pro Tour, the Super 60, and then I'm going to fish all the Pro-Ams on Shasta. In the fall, I'll go back to the Wisconsin for the deal through one bass last year for the Federation deal. I'll fish that, and I got a full schedule of stuff to do. I wanted to, someday try to do the opens, but it's really hard with my little kids. I can't get away with my construction company and my kids at the age that they're at. I wouldn't. Mine would be too hard to go out and do that. My dreams aren't to I'd love to go out and fish, doing that stuff. But I think fishing, that's the excitement I have for the Super 60 and all that. We have an opportunity to fish here on the West Coast, and but against the higher, the anglers that some really good stout anglers, and so I'm super excited about that. And I'm content with that, fishing the West Coast and doing all that stuff. It's
awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
You're 100% correct. We do have to make the decision on the West Coast, especially when you have kids. The time commitment is so high. You have it's a balancing act for sure. So
yeah. It wouldn't be in the cards for me to go out, and with my construction company, I'm gone too much as it is. And that's what is my main source of income. So I couldn't let my construction company suffer like that. So
yeah,
it's more just focusing on the West Coast, and it's hopefully we're going to have those opportunities out here to with the BAM, and all that stuff. I think there's a lot of, I feel like the future's bright for the West Coast, with things that Mark's trying to do, and got a little bit of a black eye from the Wild West, and with the Apex and stuff, and there's a lot of negative stuff out there, but there's always the negative people. That's the frustrating thing with bass fishing, is there's so much negative, guys talking.
The BS vortex.
Yeah, the negative stuff that they say. And the thing that frustrates me about the guys that are so negative, they're never the guys that are fishing. They're never the guys that are going to go to the tournament.
Bryant said that 2 episodes ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And they'll never post their name on a website that it's Swimbait Johnny. Well, who's Swimbait Johnny? They're never going to put their name on there. No one's going to, they're not going to say who they are. They're just going to, sound like a truck driver with
nobody would ever think it was me.
Bryant's troll account, Swimbait Johnny.
Did you guys ever know Ron Hobbs? He was a phenom West Coast fisherman. He went to the Forcewood Cup 3 or 4 times, but he was such a promoter of fishing. But when anybody got on a website and got negative, there was this alter ego named Han Robs who would get on it. That's the guy who has thought about, we need an alter ego. Han Robs is coming back.
Yep. But unfortunately, that it gets a lot of negative information out there that guys, that they don't look at the big picture. They don't look at what, how they're hurting the industry when they're getting up there and they're putting negative stuff out there, and how many sponsors could potentially be seeing this. I mean, it's just that there's no room for it, and there's no reason for it. And I mean, there's room for hard discussions and the positives and the negatives of a circuit, but they're just so negative all the time. And that's really, I don't feel like it's doing anything good for the West Coast. And there's a lot of it, these guys get on there and just talk negatively about a circuit, and they're never the ones that are even there. Like,
no dog in the
it
fight.
Would be one thing. Exactly. And that is a frustrating thing. But I never post anything online. But I read a lot of that stuff, and hopefully we can get that stuff. But I guess
you're showing up.
Get rid of that stuff.
We got another incredible angler on the Super 16 throughout the entire West Coast. So we appreciate you being on here and sharing your wisdom.
Oh,
maybe
absolutely.
I can catch a swimbait fish now.
Well,
yeah.
We'll have to go out there and have some fun one day.
He doesn't seem very confident, and I told him exactly how to do it too. We were the boat you were talking about, where we literally probably just made it harder for you to get a swimbait bite just by being on the water.
Keep the bow in the line, Bryant.
You do just fine.
Yeah.
I'll stick to my spinning reels.
Yeah.
Figure something out.
The thing that I really want to start focusing on, and I'm getting okay at it, is the live scoping. That's something that I really want to get more, talking with you guys at down there. I've done a lot of it, and I've caught a lot of fish doing it, but it's something that I really want to get. I feel like it's something that we really need to, pay attention to. I feel like that's something that's really coming on pretty strong, and they're going to be dominant. And maybe that's what a lot of these guys are doing. That Shasta that I don't know. I feel like there's one guy that might be doing it pretty consistently, but
You're already too good. You don't need it.
Yeah,
Don't even
it doesn't
worry.
work anyway.
Don't even
I
worry about it.
I sit there and stare at that stupid graph and out there throwing rip baits and flickering worms and yeah. And then I find myself throwing a swim bait.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
I actually think that it's changed. I think enough guys are doing it that you don't know that are doing it, even at Shasta, that even in the last 2 years since I've been going down there, the way they react to a bait falling on their head has changed. They're even if it's not being used, they feel it. I think it's definitely an evolution type technique that you can't just do it the way you did it last year. It's just like you with swim baiting. You have to keep innovating the same process and figuring out what they look like. The days of fish like just hanging out 2 feet above the bottom, I feel like are over. Like a lot of the fish used to be like, oh, there's one and there's one, there's one. And now you look around and there's nothing. I honestly think that some of that is the scope has pushed them down. And the only thing that pulls them up is the bait. You know what I mean? They'll come up for bait or they'll come up for, if they're negative or whatever. But the days of just driving around, it's not the same.
So the year that I won the Wild West, I won it with live scoping. And so I was fishing probably in 80 feet of water, 60 to 80 feet of water on a relative, I was close to a bluff, but I was offshore off the bluff, probably 50 feet maybe. And I would start out the morning and those fish were in probably 80 feet of water, but they were suspended in 10 feet first thing in the morning. And that was where I was telling you about the bait. There's a lot of bait and the bait was so prevalent there. And when you'd catch one, they'd be puking up flickering bait. And then as the day progressed, I was catching them, I could see them on my live scope. I could see my bait. And then, by the boat traffic and all that, as the day, by the end of the day, I was catching them in like 40. And that was the first 2 days of the tournament. And then the final day I went back there and I wasn't seeing anything. And those fish from all of the pressure and everything, they finally got pushed out offshore and they were down in like 60 feet of water. And then I was actually having to sink little swim baits and stuff. And I could see them with the live scope. And I was able to catch them. But that particular tournament, I was able to catch. And then I won it basically live scoping. But I haven't seen that. And I think you're right with how the fish behaviors changed. And that, that was in school. I don't even remember when I won that thing, 2020 maybe. But when live scope was just starting to get.
I was say, Bryant, yeah, 22.
2020, yeah, so live scope was just coming out on, onto the scene, and it was pretty new, and I've never seen that ever again. Like I've never seen the bait and the fish act like that ever again. So I think you're right with what's happening. Like my boat, I've got 3 live scope transducers on it. I mean, I'm sure I'm giving brain cancer to every bass I drive by. I mean, I got these things going everywhere, but, and I'm sure everyone else. So I can only imagine that's going to be, those fish are going to be like, that's affecting the fish behavior and how they're, you see a fish now, they're like, I'm out of here, but
Totally.
I've never seen what I seen when I won the Wild West that ever happen again, on Shasta or anywhere for that matter.
But you're good enough to know, because you're good enough to know when you saw that and made a bite once that you could take and win it with it. You know what I mean? Like you may not have been a live scope guru like Bryant, but at the time that was enough for you to translate that into a win. And you beat 170 some guys, right?
Yeah.
That's a
when I seen that in practice, I found it in practice, and I felt like I had an area and a technique that I felt like I could, the quality of fish that I was catching, I felt like I could definitely win the event if I could keep guys, if I could keep the area to myself. Everyone was pretty good on that tournament. The one bass was a little rougher. The Wild West wasn't as bad.
Well, I was one of the guys up there in the WAN bass, so
Yeah, you seen how many guys
the diner boat. No,
that's rough. It was brutal up there. It was,
I didn't. The problem is that I couldn't catch a fish over. Everyone was like, "You gotta have 2.5 pound fish," and I was up there one day of practice. I was actually up there with Bryant. It was the only good fish I caught, and I'm like, I better go up there. And I think I was the last boat out on day one. And I'm like, do we run by all these guys, or should I shut down every 3 seconds? And then 2 boats go by, and I'm like, I guess we're not slowing down for guys that are fishing. Yeah, it was a zoo.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just zigzagged through them and took off, and then the cavalry
That
deer
was
began.
That was a mega biomass of fish that something made them go up there, because I don't think that's a normal.
No, it's not.
It seemed weird to me. It seemed like they were incredibly active in feeding. You know what I mean?
So that year, we just had last year we had a lot of rain, and the lake was really cold, and then we had a warm storm. That's kind of the combination that you look for those fish to go into those creeks, is when the lake's, at that high 40s, and then you get the air temperature and it's raining heavily at 50, 52, whatever. Those creeks just turn on. Like, they just get really, really, they flog them. But kind of going back to the local knowledge, I knew there was a big school of fish below that, down by the I-5 bridge a month prior to that. Well, all those fish that were there just gravitated to that incoming water. They moved up in the area where you seen me into that creek, and it was just like the perfect situation to make those fish just swarm to that area. And I thought that we would have that this year with the high water and everything coming in, but the lake wasn't cold enough for the fish to do what they did. The lake's still too warm. So the water coming in is not a huge temperature change for the fish. You're always going to get fish that are going to go to those creeks because of the current, but you're not good. That little creek that I was in was just, I fished that tournament the weekend before the fills and an ADA. And I went into that creek and I left there. I got there at like 7:15. I think I left there at like almost 8 o'clock, like 7:45. And I had 22 pounds, and I left it. I didn't want anybody to see me in there. And then the next day I went in there, and a few guys seen me in there. And then by that point, it was a little harder to get bit, but we had like 23 pounds or whatever it was to win the fills. And more guys seen me. And by that point, that area, guys were up there fishing. It wasn't like they just, I don't want to sound arrogant or anything, like guys would just follow me around, but they knew that I'd won the tournament in there, and certainly built their confidence to go in there. And there was an insane amount. The second day of the WAN bass, I was fishing in there, and of course there was a lot of boats into the creek and whatnot, but just guys weren't fishing it the way I wanted to fish it. And I was finally able to get an angle that I wanted to get all morning, but boats wouldn't let me. And finally, once I got the angle, I was able to make the cast that I wanted in 10 minutes. I had 18 pounds. I just never could get the spot that I needed to, get the right angle onto where the fish were positioning. And once I was able to get that, I just cast after cast after cast. I was just catching big ones, and I had 18 pounds in 10 minutes. I didn't have anything, and in 10 minutes I had 18 pounds, and I think I had the big bag of the second day. So there's just a lot of fish in that area, and I'd fished in there long enough. I knew how they were setting up, and, little current breaks and stuff like that. So it was fun, but it's frustrating.
The biomass of fish that move around like that, do you think there's biomasses like that in every one of the arms? You know what I mean? Like, are they all as fertile as, are they all equally as fertile, or do you think there's places that are, they are?
I think there's 4 arms that are like that. The only arm that's not like that will load up like that is the squaw, because the squaw doesn't have the water that the backbone, the Sacramento arm, the McLeod, and the Pit, they all have a lot of, the rivers that feed them are there's a lot of current. The squaw arm doesn't have that. If you go all the way to the end of the squaw arm, it's not really a big feeder creek. It's just a small creek. It's just a bunch of small creeks that come into there. It's not like the Sacramento River or McLeod River or any of that stuff. So yes, I think that all those arms have the potential to have those mega groups of fish, if you have that current, and the conditions get set up. For me, I like those arms. I mean, I like fishing the end of the arms and stuff. I think that's, I enjoy fishing up there. I feel more comfortable there. I like the current, but the main body is another place that you can catch a huge bag. So for me personally,
every check I've cashed on that lake, and it ain't a lot, have been on the main body. So it's definitely like, they're there. They're in different places, but
yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's definitely pick your poison. What do you feel comfortable fishing? And cause you can win anywhere, it's just the style that I like to fish and how I like to, approach things. I like going up the arms, but a lot of the locals will sit there and beat your brains and going on the main body too.
I know a guy that'll main body it till you can't stand up.
You won't see me up an arm. I never put enough gas in my boat to get up there, so I never tempted.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, or do you think you're going to do the ISC show next week? Do you think you'll revisit that?
I'm probably not going to make it down there just with work. We got 3 homes that we're building right now, and I do want to spend a little bit of time on Shasta. Last weekend kind of got me a little frustrated. So those guys catching those big bags, it's like, I need to get a little bit more dialed in. And so I'll probably not make it down there. Bill O'Shin and I talked about it, and I might run down there for a day, but I don't think so. So
we'll be there. Alpha Angler and Bryant Smith will be there.
You guys have a booth set up there, don't you?
We do.
Yep.
And if you want to see like a midday wrestling match, I'm pretty sure that Bryant will cause 1 or 2.
Yeah, we got this scheduled.
Are you going to work? Are they doing at the tank? Are you going to work at the tank, Bryant?
Yeah. I'll be on the tank all 4 days. Yeah. Be at the tank, and I'll be running around the show like a madman, just like we always do.
Yep.
But I enjoy that show a lot.
Sure.
I grew up going to that show, so pretty cool to always go back there.
Have you ever fallen in the tank?
Has anyone?
But close though, right? Like
close.
Like probably
close. Yeah, I've done that. Last year I hooked the biggest carp in it.
Really?
I hooked the biggest carp in the tank. Yeah, and it's all on film. Kent Brown got it on film with Skeet Reese commentating it. Oh, he got it. Oh, he's screwed. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank goodness it came off, because it was about to get wild there for a second. But it looked like the orcas at SeaWorld going, just splashing everybody. I hooked it in the tail with a crankbait stuff. It was interesting.
That's something we need to get on the show. We need some of that footage.
Yeah. Oh no, it's there. It's there.
Well, we don't want to keep you up too much longer. We really appreciate it. We were trying to not totally pigeonhole and take all your information, ask tough questions, but we are grateful that willing to share your knowledge of that place, because you've got it
absolutely
a lot more dialed. But looking forward to the BAM Super 60 with you again. I mean, that was cool. One of the reasons, I don't know if you remember, but we did the Wombass last year. I think it was a Mark's Phil's I talked to you in. But I passed you. I said, "Hey, are you fishing?" It was back when it was just the 30 of us, and you said you had FOMO. You said you had a real bad case of FOMO. I don't care how many guys show up. But I think it turned out with guys like you coming in and Ish, because there's a lot of people on the outside looking in. I think that even though there was only 30 of us, I think it was awesome. I had a blast last year. So looking forward to this year.
Yeah, I am too. I think it's going to be the schedule, like we were talking earlier. I like the schedule. I think it's a good group of guys, and to me the whole last year it's different than fishing a pro-am to me. it's more, I don't want to say relaxed because guys take it seriously, but it's just a different atmosphere. Guys are more willing to help each other and talk, and it's you have guys that are comfortable in their own skin. I guess they don't have nothing to prove to anybody, and it's just guys are just it's funner. Like I really enjoy fishing those with guys. I enjoy talking to everybody. I have guys aren't, if you pull up to a spot, guys are more than welcome. Come on in. Or, it's just to me, it's different. It's more, I don't want to say it's relaxed because guys are wanting to win. Guys are taking it seriously. There's a lot of money on the line, but it's a different atmosphere. I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun fishing with everybody and just, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it this year. I like fishing pro-ams. I really like fishing those. Those are a lot of fun. And obviously this year it's going to be a lot more fun because we're fishing for more money, and I might take a little bit of that more friendly nature out of the atmosphere because there's a little bit more on the line, so guys might be a little bit more like, get the hell away from me. But but last year was a lot of fun, so I think it's a lot of the guys that fished when it was Apex are coming back, like Nick Salvucci's coming back, and Bryant, you're going to be fishing it. That's going to be exciting and fun. And so there's a lot of good fishermen that are coming back that are going to fish it. That's going to make it, when you do good, or if you're fortunate enough to win it, it really puts that's a pretty good feather in your hat to beat out, a group of guys like that. If, whomever wins. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, totally agree. It's going to be like your rodeo days without the concussions.
Kind of.
Don't go too far.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully no concussions.
Pretty rough, Jake. See what happens.
Yeah,
there is definitely a tour life camaraderie. It's like on the MPFL. Like that's one thing I noticed about that difference. And without co-anglers, there's a little less. I don't know. There's just a little difference to it. But you're right. Especially like if you're like down in Yuma, like if you're in trouble, you know what I mean. Like the only guys you got to help you are the other guys on tour. You feel that way.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You're relying on the guys that are, to make sure, if you need something or you're in trouble, they'll help you out. And it's good to have a good group of, I traveled with Colby Pearson and Bill O'Shin, and John Pearl, when he was traveling, he traveled with us, and yeah, you get a good group of guys that you build a bond with, and it's, you can lean on them if you need something. So
we need to get John Pearl back.
I know.
I'd love to have him back.
Yeah, I've been begging him to get back. I mean, every tournament that we go to, first thing in the morning, and he's always sending me a text, and Bill and Colby a text to good luck, and he still wants to be involved, and it just, hopefully we can get him back. And I don't like fishing against him. I like traveling with him because he's so good. Yeah. I don't want
nobody likes fishing against him.
Nobody likes.
Yeah.
But dude has gills, man.
Oh my God, that guy is. Yeah, I think he's part fish. Like the stuff that he does and how he approaches stuff is pretty amazing. He's definitely a natural at it. Yep. Yeah.
Hopefully he hears
good
this.
Fisherman, good guy. Yep, for sure.
If Beau, that's enough. We'll just say goodnight to all of us then, huh?
Yeah, I think we're good.
I got kids to beat. At least 2 of them to beat. Yeah.
Wow.
At least.
Just kidding.
I gotta do the same thing.
My girls could probably take me at this point. Like, but they are. Bryant is actually flying up in a couple days for a seminar he's doing up here. So you better prepare yourself because they're pretty ornery. And
yeah, well, you know how that goes. You think every single time, oh, the girls are going to beat you up. Oh, better watch out. And then what does it turn out to be?
Well, you
3-on-1.
I was going to say, you side the girls
they gang up with
against
him
Jake.
against
Of course.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
It's like having 3 kids.
Yeah.
I taught them how to kick his seat and ask him, Dad, are we there yet? Dad, are we there yet?
Oh, God. That is a true story. And I was doing, I'll pull this car over so that I could beat up Bryant. Like, right on. All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Alpha BassCast. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to subscribe, follow, and rate us. We'll see you next time.